It's a beautiful day to be late for a podcast. How are you, Mr. Jor?
I mean, we're not late. The people like listening to this audio via Spotify or whatever, where you get your audio, they won't know.
Oh,
So
right.
we were on just on time. We were just on
Yes.
time.
Yes.
But,
Anybody doubting that is a liar.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry for the delay, everybody. We're ready to go. We're here to talk. It's been a minute. We kind of took off like 2 weeks. I think is what it's been.
It's been nice not talking to you. No,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
okay.
been refreshing. Yeah, my batteries are recharged.
No, it's the July period, right? It's quiet. I've been like taking some breaks. I went to London to see my brother who lives there, which was nice. And what else have I been up to? I've went to a festival, which was also nice, like a multiple day festival. So you put down a tent, you stay there, and then you watch some music, which is also nice. And yeah, very, very popular here in the Netherlands. I've not been toying around with some games, but also it's kind of nice to watch like some TV shows, do some other types of entertainment during this slower time. And then we all know August is gonna be crazy. Although I gotta say, and maybe you noticed that as well, I think this has been the craziest July we ever gotten with like these big free-to-play games going live.
Yeah. And a couple of like surprising drops. We just booted up at the end of the stream before this, Nobody Wants to Die, which is like a brand new game that has no reviews out. Nobody talked about it. It just dropped out of nowhere. And we only played, granted, like 10 minutes. We got through just like some dialogue and into it, but some of the best world building and ambience of any game in the first 10 minutes that I've played. And so I'm going to try that tonight.
I'm looking at screenshots right now. I'm like, how has this game been under the radar? It looks stunning.
Yeah.
From the visuals. But I'm kind of getting, what was that game we got last year? From Blobfish or whatever the developer was. It was also kind of Bioshocky.
Atomic Heart.
Yeah, Atomic Heart. Kind of getting vibes from that, but then the Cyberpunk version. If that makes sense.
It's really cool. It's like a mix of Bioshock with Cyberpunk in terms of world building, mixed with like the noir detective thriller. And it's not going to be for everybody. It's definitely like slow, brooding, angsty, like very dialogue heavy, kind of a walking simulator. So it's not going to be for everybody. I'm totally expecting it to be really short, but I mean, so far I'm thoroughly impressed by it, and it's cheap. It's like $23 on Steam right now and on sale everywhere, just to get people to check it out. So
yeah, what do you think about the name? I think that's kind of hurting it as well. It's like kind of generic.
Yeah, I think there's that. They're also, I mean, this could just be one of those alternative marketing approaches where instead of pouring half of their budget into marketing and trailers and sending it to YouTubers and streamers, maybe they're just like, hey, we think the game's really good. We're just going to let it sell itself and we'll save that money. So we have less money we have to make up. Maybe they're doing that. I don't know. Like I said, I'm only 10 minutes in, but from what I got 10 minutes in, I was like, okay, like these guys aren't playing around. This is pretty damn impressive. So not many games have I experienced recently where I play 10 minutes and I want to play a lot more.
That's good.
And this is one of those where I'm like, I want to see what else is here. So
yeah. And shout out to Lucas saying Phantom Liberty, man, what a game. DLC, you get the idea. Yeah. Sometimes I think about that DLC, I'm like, that was really, really good. Like we had high expectations and they totally nailed it.
Yeah.
So shout out to that indeed. So yeah, of course, with a quiet time, what have you been up to, by the way? Not skipping you.
Went on vacation to a big lake resort we go to every year, and it's just nice. We get to rent a little cabin and go out fishing and boating and set off fireworks for the 4th of July, and it's just generally a really good time. Got to take little Lachlan on his first ever fishing trip. That was pretty cute. He got to catch his first fish. That was pretty adorable. And yeah, just a good time. We got back and just kind of taking it easy. We launched the 8-hour Starfield video. which is a big boy, and I'm glad to have that kind of done. So we're ready to move on to other projects. Looks like the patrons are going to vote for a deep dive revisiting The Witcher 3 and its DLC. So we're probably going to start working on that, and I'm ready for that because I love The Witcher. So yeah, it's just,
But you can have the patrons vote, so they can like you can like have a let's go back to Horizon Zero Dawn. And why it's amazing.
It's like the whole video is.
If you're watching right now, we need an 8-hour video of Luke.
But half of it is you telling me why it's actually really good. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's good.
That'll be
Damn,
good.
4 hours. Can I do that? I don't know. I love the game, but
We'll get you there.
I would actually be. It would actually be funny if you like your favorite Horizon game ends up being the Lego game because it's like doesn't take itself too seriously.
Yeah, like, see, this is great. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's July is just a weird time, and I know it can be a little jarring maybe for some of the most devoted members of the audience, which we love desperately, all of you who are here hanging with us. But it's just like there really is often not that much to talk about. So it's like, well, what do we make videos on? I don't know. Like there's just not much because everybody that had something to showed it in June. And now we're just kind of waiting.
Yeah, and
for
there's
August.
no Suicide Squad drama or anything.
Yeah, they delayed it. It is free,
I mean,
though.
that's kind of
Prime
drama, but
Days.
not enough for a video.
Yeah, exactly. I can make a live segment on it, but
they did share the Mrs. Freeze gameplay. It looked pretty good.
oh yeah, we gotta.
And you can still get it for free if you're watching this in the next 12 hours from recording. You can still get it for free on Amazon Prime, I think. Again, I've always been saying, boot it up, kill some Justice League members, delete it. I think that's actually a pretty good approach.
Dude, their search engine optimization is also horrible. Like you try to Google anything with the game, and it's like impossible to.
I mean,
dig
that's
up.
the same with that movie, right? Like I want the good movie, but then I always get the bad one. And I always, when I type in Suicide Squad on Twitter in the search bar, I never get the game's Twitter account. I just can't find it because like RS, it's so hard to find.
Yeah.
Hey,
I don't know, man. It's
yeah.
a dumpster fire. We all know about it. We'll talk about what many people thought or think will be the next big live service dumpster fire, Concord. We'll talk about that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have a prediction. I want to, real quick, Lucas is asking about the Euro finals. I know everyone is curious about that. Sorry to include some football in here. But Netherlands, England, sucks. We should have won. But I was in London when when England played against Spain. So I was like secretly cheering for Spain. And then we saw a lot of sad England people, like a lot of sad people crying, which was really fun.
And I've heard Brits are generally kind of melancholy anyways, so I bet it was just sadder than normal.
Yeah, they were really sad. Well, I was like, it was pretty obvious that you were not gonna win. Like they were cheering every time the defender would like kick the ball and get a corner. Like,
you did it.
Yeah, good job. You saved us another few minutes it was crazy. But Sean, thanks for the
Sean.
Yeah, for the memberships here. That's very, very kind.
Yeah, shout out Sean Dada. The one and only goated Sean.
Very cool.
Thank you, my friend. Yeah, it's I lost my train of thought.
No, the Concord you wanted to.
Concord, yeah. Sean, also 19 months of support. Thank you for repping your membership.
Damn.
Come on, España. English still cling to the 1966 World Cup. I don't know anything about the World Cup or anything. I just, even American sports, like American football, is huge here. And I'm totally checked out. I don't really keep up on it.
I get it. I usually am as well. But like our local sort of division with all the Dutch clubs is like pretty bad. But I do like it when it's on like a world stage and there's like high stakes and everyone around me is for the same team. That just is like a lot of fun. So I ended up watching quite a lot of games, and then and it's so funny because I never really care for soccer or football either. And now I unlocked that conversation topic with people, and I'm surprised by how easy it then is to talk with other men. It's like, oh, yeah, the soccer, yeah, they were not like everyone suddenly knows everything about football, right? They all think they're like a coach or whatever, and then you can like talk to these people for 10 minutes while I'm normally like trying to figure out about other topics or whatever. So it's like it's a very easy conversational thing.
Oh yeah.
But I'm sad it's over. It was a really fun time.
Yeah. And now we're just back to being loser YouTubers.
Yeah.
That's all we've got. That's all we've got.
I mean, they did announce the new EA Sports FC Casino. Hey guys, Andrew Wilson here.
Andrew Wilson. EA Sports. It's in the casino.
It's in the casino.
Oh man.
Did you see the new they teased that, and the biggest thing that people were cheering for is that they brought back the tunnel animation. Well, you know what that is? It's like when you pack a card and you get like a very good card, you go to this tunnel and then you see like the lights, so you kind of know, whoa, it's like a high rarity. And then there's like fireworks. It's really basically like going to Las Vegas. And they had like different iterations of that, but now they're bringing back the tunnel. Get hyped, everyone. Get hyped.
Oh,
it's great.
Well, well, yeah. Well, what we were gonna to shift gears and I guess get sort of on track. Yeah, Concord had its first beta this week. It will have its second beta later this week, and I played it. Now, you were traveling, right? So you didn't get the chance.
Yeah. But I did watch SkillUp's video on it because I was like curious about his thoughts on it as well, and I knew I was gonna discuss it here. But I think overall, when I saw the news that they opened it up to the PS Plus people, that was already a red flag. I was already
yeah,
because otherwise they would not get a lot of people, because we saw that on Steam, right, where they did not obviously do that. So, and I think it peaked at 1,000 people playing it over the weekend, and then it just went down.
Yeah.
So,
and I saw some people bringing that up. People were like, "Lol, it's dead already," and I was like, "Guys, it's a closed beta for people that like paid in." But granted, it can still give you a good idea if you are referencing it against others, and the performance of other games.
Oh, and I was gonna say, like, if you pre-ordered, you got like 5 or 4 codes for your friends. So 1,000 was the peak. If you like do that, like only 200 people basically bought it for the 1,000 people, or to have 1,000 concurrent. So I really think the pre-orders on PC are probably 1,000, a few thousand, maybe less. Like,
I'll say to get access to the beta, I pre-ordered it, and I couldn't get any of my friends to play with me. So I think that also tells you a lot about the game's potential
You're not
chances.
the ringleader in your social circle, it seems.
Well, it's just when you all sit down to play games and it's like, hey, guys, I have these beta codes. And if you like the game, you're going to have to pay $40.
Oh, yeah.
And so then people are like, well, I'd rather just stick with what we know. Let's just play more Overwatch 2 or whatever. Like, or Fortnite just launched a reload mode, which is like Rebirth Island, and it's kind of just stupid and fun. So we all just ended up playing those, and that's the biggest hurdle for it to get over, because in my humble opinion, I don't know what SkillUp said, I didn't see his video, but in my humble opinion, Concord is a solid game, but I don't think personally it's solid enough to be worth $40. If it were a free-to-play game, I think it would be, it would potentially stand a chance. It would still have a long way to go before it finds a lot of success. I still don't know if it would be successful then. But $40 nowadays is just ridiculous for a live service hero shooter. And people will say, well, remember, Overwatch cost money when it launched. Yes, in 2015. It's been almost a decade since that was considered acceptable.
And that was Blizzard, like the first new IP from Blizzard in a long time. They actually had a free beta for like a year or whatever, maybe even longer, where people could just continuously play it, and it grew over time. So you really knew what you were getting into. Um, excuse me, when the game came out. So that was like a huge thing as well. And this new team that Sony bought with these characters that I don't know. I mean, I did see some of the gameplay, and I thought some kits looked pretty interesting, like a melee focused character or one that could teleport around. I love the sort of third person things that they have going here and there with like a dodge. So it does seem like it has some interesting ideas, but I don't know what they were thinking, but it's I think personally I'm really looking at more at like a angle from okay, Sony's strategy, and I think their whole approach with this has been bad from the start, because this beta is not to get feedback. This beta is to sell the game. It's like a demo, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they had probably a lot of internal testing, but that's not the same as getting, I mean, they want millions, but like in this case, 10,000s of people playing it that give way more feedback. And there are just a lot of, like, if you're in that developer bubble, you just don't see the same things. And I do think that these people coming in and being excited that they get the opportunity or they're being paid, I don't think they will say the same things as anyone who is like, that actually has to pay money for it, right?
Yeah.
So they will get a ton of different feedback. And they don't have, like, they should have announced this game last year. Hey, we're trying something new. Come be part of this journey. Here, go play the game. And then have the rollout be similar. But now they wanted to approach this as a regular Sony game that they know by heart, like by announcing it, launching it a few months later. That works for Astrobot because we saw the game. Some people played it. It is amazing. I know what I'm getting into. And it doesn't, like, if I give feedback, I mean, these guys know what they're doing, right? This is a new team, and in a genre that is super crowded, they're asking money for it. It's like there are so many wrong decisions being made here. While it does look interesting, like I am always for these types of games trying something new, and I like new IPs. But like going up against Marvel rivals that for one looks way better, is free to play. I don't know how they're gonna compete with that.
Yeah, and I just, with all these games, like you said, it's so competitive. There's so many options out there. You can have an interesting roster of characters. Now, personally, the roster of characters that they have here, I found 2 characters that I liked playing, and they were in some ways the most generic. Most of the characters I just didn't connect with, or I found them to be actively infuriating because maybe they have a couple things that are just weird. Reload times are weirdly long, or the damage fall off after 10 meters is ridiculous, so I ended up swapping off, things like that. But even if they hit that out of the park, and you know the gunplay in general is really, really good, every single time there is a speed bump on your way to the destination of this game being your new main like game to play with your friends, that loses some players. And like you said, like the pre-orders for the whatever edition that got you access to this, maybe 1,000 globally on PC. And these games, first-person shooters, are often defined by their success on PC as well, especially nowadays. Granted, games like Overwatch can have huge console presence and things like that, but a lot of it is tied up in PC performance. And if PC players are already kind of disconnected, it's going to be real tough to find success when there's so many little bitty speed bumps that keep popping up. Little bitty blunders like the $40 price tag. Even if this is free to play, I still think that there's a lot of people that are just not, like, they might try it for a night or two, but you need so much to go right for a game like this to find a lot of success. And I just don't think that it's the masterpiece it would need to be to find that success. No doubt the devs know what they're doing. Like, they are ex-Bungie devs, almost all of them, and you can tell like it plays kind of like layout and structure of Overwatch with the shooting of a Destiny, and it's fun. It can, like, you can have some genuine fun in here. But unfortunately, when you're talking about a game like this, it's not just about the individual game, like you alluded to with Astrobot. You are not trying to sell a single game. You're trying to sell a habitual change. You're trying to sell a change to somebody's routine, where they normally get on and play Overwatch with their friends, and now they're going to get on and play this. That's a much tougher thing to sell. It's a much bigger thing to sell. And so to have little bitty speed bumps all over the place is just not what they needed to do. And I think Sony almost certainly will be bringing this to like PlayStation Plus fully very, very quickly. I think they're going to maybe even explore other things like, I don't know, maybe a free-to-play launch on PC or something, keep it paid on console. I don't know. But they're going to be like hungry for players pretty quickly, I think. This weekend will be telling, though, because they're going to open it up for a full open beta.
Yeah.
So we'll see what player counts look like there and player sentiment. But even if player counts are good, it's, $40.
I mean, usually, like, even with demos, I think the conversion rate is not that high. Like, people are just gonna give it a shot because it's free and they want something new to try. I mean, people are always excited to try new things before launch.
Yeah.
But I don't, like, even if maybe 10%, like, that's gonna be a thing where it will fizzle out. Like, I personally think, I want to quickly shout out, where did I see it here? The Outsider Jazz. Even without Marvel Rivals, they don't hold a candle to Fortnite, Apex, Overwatch, Warzone as well. This game feels like a 2014 game. Again, yeah, like we said, the market is very crowded. And yeah, G-Man is saying they're trying to sell a lifestyle, like you also said. Like, it's like way more, and then a lifestyle that you first have to pay for while you don't even know if you will actually enjoy it that much or get your friends to play it. I personally think they're gonna delay it. I think they're gonna do this beta weekend, and then they're gonna sit at a table with Herman Hulst and be like, "This is not gonna work. We can launch it like this, but we have the numbers, we have the feedback." I think it's way better for them to go dark for a year, maybe 2. Next year is very crowded, and then come back with a completely way more fleshed out game and be free to play or have a PvE mode. Like, I really think that this game needs something that sets it apart. Like, I heard the feedback also was like, there are not a lot of interesting modes. Like, the characters are very interesting, but you're doing things that you've done in other games. Like, what really makes this game unique? There's no question to that. The progression doesn't seem to be really there. They have systems where it's like a system where if you go into the game with and then win a competitive round with that character, you actually cannot pick that character anymore for the next round. So they have like very, like, on one end it's like, okay, it's something new, but it's very, in these types of games, you want to, you want to master one character and be very good at it. And I do like the idea that they are pushing you to try the roster of other characters as well. But in these types of games, that usually happens with bans. Like, if one character is very overpowered, you can ban them, and then the other team can't use them. Or with counter picks, oh, they pick this character, these characters, I'm gonna pick this one because it's good against the other. So you're still incentivized to play other characters. Like, I really think that they can take the L right now and launch it, and it will be. I mean, we all know how this is gonna go. It's very obvious. But I think, and I hope, that Sony's like, we bought this studio. For us, this live service is like a huge learning experience. And the way we rolled out this game, it's not it. We maybe come back next year where it's like, become a Concord ambassador or whatever. And then you're going to be in for every new test, for every new feature we added. And then it comes back. Maybe they will do a free-to-play variant. But then they, of course, have to rework the whole structure or business model or skins or whatever they're gonna want to sell. Like, I don't think this is gonna go over well if they pull the trigger on it, and I don't think Sony needs it. So I think it's way better for them to go dark and take in this feedback and do a proper rollout. Again, I think a PvE mode could get me interested because, again, these characters look pretty fun. There is a world here that they're building. Like Overwatch is not doing it. That is how you can fill a void, right? With these types of games, they have to find something that actually, gives you an experience that you can't find elsewhere.
Right.
So I hope that do that, but we will see.
Well, and I agree. Just at the core, the problem is not that it plays bad. The problem is not that these guys don't know what they're doing, because they do. The problem is just that there's nothing really here that's truly unique. It plays in a semi-unique way because it's like Overwatch mixed with Destiny. We haven't had that before. Okay, but you just compared it to two things that do exist. So it's just a hodgepodge of other things. So if they can come along and do something like, they push the idea of weekly story updates and stuff like that, that's cool. But I don't think a 90-second cutscene once a week is enough to keep anybody engaged long term. Like, I don't know of any live service game where that would be enough for me. Like, what I do in every other live service game when there's a cutscene? I skip it.
Yeah, because you have like your friends through Discord yelling at you or whatever. Like, you can't even hear the thing, so you have to pick a quiet moment. Like, guys, I'm gonna watch the cutscene. Like that. I don't know. Like that really comes from a Sony. Let's build this new IP as a story driven like side of experience as we are used to, but I don't think it works for these types of games.
Yeah. So we'll see. My gut is telling me they still launch it, and I think they just try to send it and stick to it. But I'm sure they're watching all the internal metrics very, very closely. They're like stressed about conversion rates. On the main menu of this game, they have a thing that says like, play now, roster, whatever settings, and then it's pre-order. And so if that isn't actually converting very much, I think that would get the bells ringing and the alarm sirens going, but we'll see. Like you said, there's some things they're trying to do to differentiate themselves a little bit. That character swap restriction or character swap mandation is something that they're doing in the rivals mode, and that rival mode is the more competitive one you unlock later. And I understand why they're trying to do it, because they want to prevent people from just maining one character that's super broken, but it just feels bad. Like, you have one character you really like playing, and then to be forced to change just feels bad. And so that led to me playing a different mode where that restriction didn't come into play. And I think it's just a reminder that just because you have a reason to do something in a game doesn't mean that players will necessarily like it or that it'll feel good. So we'll keep an eye on it. We'll see what happens. We'll see if they delay it, as Joe Raptor alluded to, or if they just send it and hope for the best. I guess time will tell. Yeah.
Do you think the delay is possible? I think that would be like the smart bet. Like, unless they want this studio to, because if this game comes out like this, the studio is done for, I think, in March next year, which would be really sad.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be really surprised if they delay it, honestly. Just because I think that the game is polished. The game plays really good. The server infrastructure seems fine. The one thing was, I don't know if it's just the beta or what, but there was a real issue with players dropping, where we were playing in the rivals mode, live on stream, and one player out of the 5 you see at the top of the screen dropped out. And they dropped out because they got shot really quickly. They're like, no, I'm not going to do well in this group, so they pulled out. And apparently there's no dynamic fill, at least not during the betas. So if somebody pulls out, your team is just down a player, and it won't get automatically refilled with a single. You're just down for the rest of the match, which could be 10 minutes or 15 minutes. So then after that happens, because it's more competitive, you're down a player, you're down 20% of your capacity, you're going to start losing. So you start losing, and then a second player pulls, and then a third. So there were multiple times we played a game where we lost one player, and then within a minute it was down to just me 1v5 against another team, and it
Nice. And
felt
did you win?
bad.
Oh. I mean, you got that. You got that.
Sure didn't.
Yeah, oh, okay. No, but that's like the perfect example of what I was talking about. Like they were testing this in an environment where this would not happen. Like you're paying these testers to come into your studio, and it's not like, screw this, I'm out. Like, no, you're getting paid to stay in this match. So you're not, unless the guy goes to the toilet or whatever. Like they did not have the experience in an online realistic environment, which is just wild, actually. So
yeah. So I hope that they add that for the open beta at the very least. It better be in the game for the final version, because good God almighty, nothing feels worse than waiting 2-3 minutes to get into a match. One player pulls immediately, and then you're just screwed. Like everybody has to pull then, because it creates this culture of, well, one player left. Now everybody's going to pull, so I might as well just pull now. And then for the other team, it feels bad because they didn't do anything wrong. They all stayed in the match, but now they have to go through another 3-4 minutes of load screens just to get it back in another match because this team pulled on them. So part of that will be fixed when the game actually comes, because some people will have paid $40 for it and they'll be less likely to do that. There's other things, you know, I don't think they have any ranked modes or anything, but if they eventually do that, that protects against it. But it's fighting an uphill battle, and I just haven't seen any evidence that what's here is enough to get up the hill. But.
No. We will, of course, be following it here in a way, because I think, again, it's interesting. Second Sony live service game. First one was Helldivers, was a huge success, and it before launch looked kind of like a lot of people did not care. But I still think that's a completely different scenario as well, with like a way more experienced dev working on stuff like this for a long time. And also really bringing something unique, which is kind of what people want in the live service space. I want to look at a cool graph for the Sony PlayStation games that we can expect in the coming years. But first, we have Samaya with a with a super chat. What do you think AC Invictus gonna look like? I hope they bring back old school PvP AC multiplayer. That used to be my jam. You go first.
No, you go first.
Okay.
You read it.
Oh yeah, I was asking it to you. No, I think, I mean, it does seem to be multiplayer because it is like Rainbow Six Siege and For Honor veterans that are working on it. I don't think it will be like the old school PvP. Like maybe there will be some elements of it, but that I don't think has the depth that a live service Assassin's Creed PvP game needs. But I do hope that they, again, what we were talking about, the Concord, that doesn't really have a unique flavor to it, right? It's like a game you've played before with characters you don't know. That's not like a unique selling point. But of course, with this AC multiplayer, they can introduce or include a lot of cool characters. They can have seasons based on the different games, and then the map suddenly changes to that setting. Or Assassin's Creed Shadows gets a new DLC with Japanese mythology. I'm just saying something. Bam, the season in Invictus will have that as well. Hexe launches. Bam, we're going to Germany during that witch hunt time period. Like they can do a ton of cool stuff, but I hope the gameplay has some depth to it. And I mean, for Honor Team, maybe they're going for the Valhalla or like the RPG style combat. I hope not. Like, I don't know. I think it's gonna be very interesting, but I hope they combine the sort of that they have maybe archetypes and where it's like, okay, I want to be the tricky assassin, smoke bomb away, blah blah, or I want to be the Eivor like warrior, so that you can like kind of choose your different playstyles. That for once and for all, we can finally battle it out. The old school fans versus the RPG fans, and of course, the RPG fans will win.
Probably.
I mean, Cassandra will kill them all. She cannot die.
Yeah, she's
in a way.
been alive forever.
She can, but yeah. And you can probably get like the suit Cassandra skin in the store.
Oh, no doubt.
For one day
probably
only.
15 different versions of it too. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what it looks like. I don't know. There's so many directions they could go with it. They could do like a freaking battle royale kind of thing where it's like, oh, to get upgrades, you assassinate 5 different targets during the thing, and like just totally lame. Or maybe it's like an asymmetric thing where it's one player is doing social stealth and things like that to hide, and then it's 5 or 10 other assassins in the map trying to go kind of like a prop hunt kind of thing, but with actual people. There's all sorts of things they could do with it. Or maybe they have 15 different modes and you can just pick which one you want to do. We don't know. We'll see how they advertise it. We'll see when they start to advertise it. They're probably going to do lots of betas and previews and stuff. So we'll know a lot about it before it comes. But
I really hope that next year, Ubisoft Forward, we will be battling it out against each other, and then
that'd be
may
fun.
the best one win. Yeah,
that would be
pretty
fun.
good.
I'll do some training before.
Oh,
This is my
really?
moment.
Okay.
My moment.
I mean, you already did some training. You were like parkouring during that Shadows video.
Yeah, you saw
was
how
that part of your
flexible I'm
training?
not.
Yeah, I can totally take you. That would be,
It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Let's see, and then we also got Jimothy's re-upping of their membership. Please give Grammy there in the back a kiss for me. Hope she's doing well. Oh, oh, you mean, yeah, I got you.
Oh wow.
I got you.
Okay.
I think I know what you're talking about. I see you. I got you. Okay. Capture the assassin's flag. Hell yeah. Yeah, that's a layup game mode. Just can we take a moment to appreciate back in the day with like those games like Halo ODST and stuff where they had the multiplayer modes with like 35 different modes for you to choose from and custom modes for you to choose from and stuff. Oh man, those were the days. And it wasn't like a 10-year process to get that game and then it's filled with over monetized crap. It was just there and it was fun. And it was
Or they brought back a mode that would then be only there for a week or whatever.
Yeah.
The FOMO nature.
And it's like, if you really like it, make sure to buy this exclusive skin so we know to bring it back. It's like dry up. Anyway, you wanted to talk about the Sony Tentpole thing.
Did you, by the way, know that this like huge news? EA Sports FC will get a battle pass. It's like, so if you want to grind that more, I was just thinking about it. I want to share more about this new casino game.
Well, it's funny because you were just telling me before the podcast started. You were like, Luke, don't tell the viewers this, but I love giving EA my money. And I want more ways to do it. And I was like, really? And you were like, yeah, I'm not joking. And this is not a bit. And I was like, oh, wow. So this makes sense. It's perfect. It lines up great.
I thought this was going to stay between us. Like,
oh, because you said not to say. Oh, that's my bad, man.
Yeah. I know that you said that you actually really like Starfield. It's like your favorite game of all time.
Oh, damn it.
But now I spoiled that.
I forgot to say the record. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, you can only make an 8-hour video if you actually love the game.
Yeah, it sounds like coping, Luke.
I mean, okay, but look at the thingy. Did you pull it up? Did you see
I
it?
did. I pulled up the thingy.
Nice. So yeah, we got Sony's like this was like a business meeting they did, and I think it's interesting. We have not touched on this. So let's start with transformational because that's where Concord is in. So this is primarily live service games with ongoing content and differentiate through IP, themes, or gameplay. So again, this is one of the 3 core pillars of games that Sony wants to launch in the coming years. Then we have experimental, showcase innovation, unlock new audiences, target new genres, high potential games with discipline on scope and budget. So these would be Astrobot, Lego Horizon. As kind of the games they're looking at. And then, of course, we have the big ones. Tentpole games, existing hit franchises, or new IPs with high ambition from studios with proven track records of quality and success. So like God of War, Spider-Man. And yeah, new IP with high ambition. Like that makes me, like the new Naughty Dog game would be included here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So... And the big sort of news that accompanies this is that they want one of those tentpole games every holiday. Not this year, I think. They already said that they won't have like a big game before April 2025. I'm still holding out hope for the Atreus game, like that they maybe at like a September. I mean, did you see, by the way, that Sony is going back to Tokyo Game Show for the first time in 5 years?
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty interesting. So they might like have some big show there, PS5 Pro, and then But again, I still think they're gonna do something with Atreus, but who knows when that will happen. But yeah, every year, next year, 2026, 2027, there is a big game planned from Sony, which is, I think, very interesting.
Yeah, it seems
next year should be Ghost, right? You would think.
Yeah, you would think. I mean, it kind of lines up. We know that Sony's not shown like anything for the last couple of years, and it's left people like, wow, they've got nothing. But they do. Like, they have these big studios working on stuff. They've just intentionally chosen to sit on the sidelines until what they have is ready to go. So they're kind of eating this year or two, just being like, yep, it's going to suck for a little bit, and then we're going to come out swinging soon. It's kind of like what happened with what would be maybe the direct comparison. It's kind of like what happened with Samsung after the Note 7, maybe Note 8, whichever was the one that blew up. They had those phones that were blowing up, and then for like a couple of years after that, they just had negative PR swarming them. So they intentionally didn't manufacture a ton. They didn't spend a ton on marketing. They just were kind of like, we know we're not going to hit it out of the park for a year or two. That's okay. We're just going to sit, bide our time, and then when we are ready to come out swinging with something really amazing, we'll do that. And then they did, and they come out and they're like, yeah, foldable phones, we got it. Yeah, you want crazy fast powerful phones, we got that. Phones with 100x zoom, we got that. And
foldable phones, yeah
baby. Are you getting the new one?
Yeah.
Are you getting the Ring?
Oh no, they don't sell those in the Netherlands yet.
Oh really? Oh,
I want one, but I don't think it's for sale here yet.
If we meet up, I'll smuggle you one. There you go.
Oh, that would be great. That would be great.
So yeah, I think that this is one of those situations where they've had a lot of stuff, a lot of pots on the stove, and they've just been sitting and waiting for when it's ready to start serving up to everybody. And it looks like next year they're going to be able to start doing that. So we actually should see a Ghost 2 that has been built for the PS5. We should see whatever Naughty Dog's been doing that is...
New IP, probably. Yeah.
Probably a new IP that is pretty crazy ambitious. And I'm excited to finally see those games because it's been a weird generation so far. And it just looks like this generation is going to be very back heavy with those games. Yeah. And
100%.
That's okay. You know, the PS4 was kind of, it was pretty well spread out, actually, honestly. Like 2014 was pretty light, but then 2015 started coming, 16 comes swinging with like Uncharted 4, and then 2017 they start bringing in some new stuff. 2018
Horizon,
they bring in
and God of War.
God of War 2018.
God of War was that was 2018. So Horizon was 27.
2019 Death Stranding, and then 2020 The Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be
Days Gone.
Days Gone. Dude, we forgot it too. So anyway, I think this is going to be a back heavy year or generation, but it also looks like Xbox is doing the same thing. Xbox, based on their showcase this summer, they've got a lot of stuff cooking too. So we're going to be eating fine for the next few years, I think.
Yeah, but you got to pay more, you know. You got to pay more for the Game Pass. $20.
True.
Crazy.
Yeah, and you're going to spend more and you're going to like it.
Yep.
That's what Phil demands. So, yeah, seems like Sony's got lots of stuff. It does. I do get the vibe that they are starting to really turn away from the heavy focus on live service that Jim Ryan was pushing. Are you getting that vibe too?
Yeah, because I mean they wanted 12 games before March 2026, and we still only have one out, which Helldivers, of course, Concord coming. Again, I think they will push it because they have been pushing all these games a lot already behind the scenes. Because they wanted, I think, 5 already out by this time, which obviously did not happen. So yeah, I totally think so. But I do think they tasted that Helldiver success. So I think they're really gonna still, okay, what was there? How can we replicate that? And of course, the Horizon online game is like that's the main project that Guerrilla Games is working on right now. So I'm sure they're gonna bank a lot on that. But it's first really seemed. I mean, last year's PlayStation Showcase was Marathon, Fair Games. I mean, Fair Games. Come on, that's gonna be enough. Okay, but that's a different story. But and Concord, those were the three new games that they announced from their own studios. I totally hope that the next PlayStation Showcase we see, which is seemingly in September with the PS5 Pro, will once again at least be a balance, right? So I totally see that as well. I totally think that they are shifting, and I mean we're seeing that this year. Like Astrobot is like one of the games for the hardcore PlayStation fans, and then they're still doing the live service. Next year I think it will be a similar. I mean they got Death Stranding 2, hopefully Ghost 2, and a Marathon probably, maybe the Horizon online game.
What's
Concord.
funny is that now Marathon is looking much more like Concord than initially thought, because it's now apparently a hero shooter, hero extraction shooter, whatever the hell that means. So we'll see how that turns out. I think people might be a little surprised with that one, because a lot of people still don't know that that shift has happened. But anyway, we'll get that. We'll have again next year. It's just going to be so crazy. Like last year was wild. We had a lot, but it was a blockbuster year in terms of like critical reception. There were a lot of like 10 out of 10s, 9 out of 10s. It was just a great year for that. And 2024 has been kind of relaxed so far. Not bad, but fine.
It had its moments. But not like insane.
But next year, if GTA 6 actually does launch as well, it's going to be...
We don't even need it. That's the crazy part.
Yeah. And probably a Switch 2 as well, whatever that is. Like, we're going to have new hardware and some of the biggest games of all time. Like, it's going to be wild. But speaking of wild, there's been a lot of hiring for a wild game that lots of people are excited for.
I want to say to people, we are going to talk about Star Wars Outlaws.
Yes, it's literally the next bullet point.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
Yeah, it's the next bullet point.
Just real quick, thought this was interesting. Like we know about this new BioShock game for a long time, and they're hiring like mad for this new game. And we once again see that it's running on Unreal Engine 5, which is kind of cool. I hope it's 60 FPS though, but maybe not. I mean, I don't think on console we ever had a 60 FPS BioShock game, which is kind of crazy to think about. But I thought this job listing for the senior combat designer was interesting. Implementing combat gameplay content in an immersive sandbox world. Are they going open world?
I believe they are.
I think so too.
There's been a lot of other job postings which, allude to, designing large levels and, preparing art and assets for expansive open environments and stuff like that. So I do expect it's going to be a fully open city. They've been hiring like mad. They've also been pouring a lot of money into expansions of the teams. And I mean, I to have a studio right now that's working on a game that was originally announced in like 2019. They said they were starting in December of 2019, starting work on a new BioShock game. So after 5 years, they're still hiring like crazy. That to me at least suggests that the scope is continuing to like grow and expand, and people are getting, they're really putting a lot into this, which is exciting.
It's really the Take-Two effect. Like they just can't release games.
Yeah,
they really struggle with that. And I mean, the thing also is they don't have to. Like they're making 5.5 billion every year with NBA and the Singa and all those things. And GTA Online, that is of course still enormously popular. Red Dead sells 1 million copy or 2 every quarter. So they're still making bank without releasing new games. So I do feel that's probably also why they're like, sure, Ken Levine, go make Judas for 10 years. This new studio, Cloud Chamber, go make BioShock and make it right. Like, I do at one point think that they have to pull the trigger, but they're really trying to invest in all these games. new Borderlands, of course, they now own Gearbox. That I think is also a 2025 title. 6 years after Borderlands 3, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, they are like chugging along, but they are expecting huge results starting next year, and they've been delaying that over and over again as well. So I'm curious about this, and I personally think they have to make sure that it's. I mean, maybe the open world also makes sure that it's not like compared too much to Judas. But I overall feel, and I'm not sure if you're seeing that as well, there's a really shift happening for for these single player games to have them be valuable for consumers. Like the new Tomb Raider is seemingly also open world, and it really seems that if you're going for this action adventure single player game, that if you make it open world, that people think, oh, it includes way more value, and it still has the sort of interesting. I can go here and have like the idea that you're in this big world with a ton of side content. I think that seems to be still very appealing to people, while a linear corridor style game that you can finish in 10 hours, we've seen in the last couple of years, while people still are craving for those, they're not doing very well. While the open world suddenly, I mean, I think the beauty about open world is that even with this BioShock game, they can still have the linear sections, but just when you travel to them or something, it might be in a big hub area where you can, find some different things if you go off the beaten path. So I think that was a very, I mean, we've seen now with Tomb Raider, BioShock, I can probably think of some, I mean, the new God of Wars went a little more in the open world direction as well with some of the levels. So I totally think that's more of where the single player kind of games are going towards.
Yeah, I think it's sort of a broader reflection on the market as a whole. You know, if you're going to charge AAA prices or quadruple A prices for your games, you need to have the value on the same level that people expect. And while some gamers will be frustrated that every game's an open world game, every game is massive in 100 hours or 60 hours, whatever, more people complain if they're smaller and shorter. Like it's just seems to be the case. And so pair that with the other trend in the industry, which is that these companies want you to play their games for longer, and they want you to go back to them, and they want you to buy the DLC, or they want you to buy cosmetics or this or that. And it only makes sense to go open world, have it more expansive. And, you know, it's sort of the chicken and the egg, which comes first. Like, did the trend towards open world games start because that's what people started buying, or was it just like a couple of visionaries that did it first and then the money came after? I don't know, but some of the biggest games, and consistently some of the biggest and most well-reviewed and popular games for the last like decade are open world adventure games. And so, you know, if that's what people are buying and voting for with their wallets, that's where the devs are going to go. So I know some people were bummed out when they heard this about BioShock, but I think it's going to be fine. I'm excited.
Yeah, same. And I mean, we saw it recently with Hellblade too. Like that's a prime example of what all those people say, or like the vocal minorities say that they want. But that game did not even crack the top 10, right, in the US.
Mm-hmm.
It sold really poorly. I was kind of stunned when, I mean, I knew it was not going to do well, but it was like really bad.
Yeah, it's... I think it was struggling to even stay in the top 100 on Xbox, in terms of like player engagement and stuff. Like on Steam or on Twitch, it had like 90,000 viewers, 100,000 viewers in the first day, and 90% of that had dropped after the first day because everybody finished it and just moved on.
Yeah, it's like, I think, it says Hellblade, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 ranked 37th in the US game sales in May. I think it sold a few thousand copies. Like that's crazy.
Well, it's just
37.
It's like a game that everybody unanimously agreed the gameplay is like clearly an afterthought, and it's basically an interactive movie, and so people just watched it on stream and then moved on. Like that's literally all that happened. And I think Xbox knew it was going to do that, which is why they were so weird with the marketing and everything on it. And it's also just like a bad game for Game Pass as a platform, because people finish it in an afternoon and then never touch it again. So, the red flags
It
were
really
readily
came and
apparent.
went. I don't think it will even come up during the Game of the Year discussions. Maybe as like art direct or like something technical.
Maybe
I don't know.
sound. Yeah, something with
Yeah.
sound. But yeah, really weird.
Crazy.
But
Crazy.
anyway,
And
shifting
they're
forward.
making Hellblade 3. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't believe it. I don't believe that. That would be a weird decision.
Yeah,
But
they're
yeah,
making
let's
another live
go
service game.
to yeah, another single player open world game that is coming.
Starfield's DLC. No, Star Wars Outlaws.
Oh wow, they actually dropped 10 minutes of new gameplay.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. This new gameplay we've not seen before. It looks to be footage taken from the Xbox, because a lot of the like particle effects don't look very good and the frames get really choppy in a couple spots. So I believe it's Xbox like console footage, whereas everything else we've seen has been like PC footage. But we see an actual quest where you go up to the whatever Jawas, and they task you with getting a Sarlacc tooth, and you actually go and collect a tooth from a dead, or is it Sarlacc? And they cut pretty liberally through this footage, not showing you too much. But what my main takeaway from this was how much the Jawas sound like minions from Despicable Me. I've not watched Star Wars in a long time, so I had just never really thought about it. But I'm just going to play a little selection of audio for everybody at home just to hear. I don't think you'll be able to hear it, Jor.
Yeah, no
but...
worries.
Hey, I heard you could put a turret on my ship.
Like 102.
I'm sorry?
She said she'll put a turret anywhere.
La pia tawatuki. Banana. Like it is the minions. It is the minions. So other than that, the gameplay actually does look decently solid. It's pretty expansive. We get a look at riding the speeder through a very wide open desert and seeing something crawl and explore through the sands. We also get another reminder that Kves doesn't actually know everything in this universe, which I find refreshing. She doesn't pretend to know everything. Like, she doesn't know what a Sarlacc is, what a Sarlacc pit is, or anything. Like, she's like, sure, I'll go get a tooth, thinking it's maybe like a small dog or something. She doesn't know what this is because she's never been here before. Why would she know? And I just find that to be a small distinction, but a refreshing one from what we typically get in Star Wars franchise stuff, where everybody knows everything and just assumes you've seen the movies and all of that. Having said that, it's just another quest line they are showing off here, and I'm hopeful that they're showing off so many of these quest lines for these previews because the game is just that big, because it's like massive. There's tons of stuff, so they're not like really spoiling that much by showing this. But I can't think of another like upcoming game like this where they've casually shown so many quest lines almost in their entirety like this. They're very open with it, with some really cool stuff too.
I mean, usually it's different though for Ubisoft games. I mean, I think that's probably where Disney comes in. But I mean, usually around Ubisoft Forward or E3 back in the day, we would already have like 8 or 6 hours of Assassin's Creed gameplay for that year, because they would already show it on. So, I mean, it's still crazy. I think that we were able to play a Ubisoft game and not record it, which is kind of uncommon. But it seems like maybe because the marketing cycles, as we discussed many times before on this podcast, have changed a lot, where they are basically starting the real marketing a month before release. That's why they're now dropping a lot of this gameplay. So yeah, very interesting. I mean, that's what I always knew was gonna be great in this game, and that's the environment. Like, it looks very, very good. I just love that Division team and the sort of locations and environments they designed for those Division games, and you totally see that here as well. So I think it will already be fun to go and explore these different planets. I'm still not sure about the gameplay though. I think the stealth looks like, we've done this so many times before, and now we have Nyx, which kind of different, but I don't know. I hope there's enough depth to it. That's still kind of my question mark, where it's like, we only have the blaster and you can pick up weapons and then throw them away. So what will I be finding in the open world that will make that journey rewarding enough?
Yeah, when I played it at Summer Game Fest, it was interesting because it plays much closer to like an Uncharted game in the moment to moment, at least the stuff they let us try. And that means that there's sections like this that you guys can see on screen now if you are listening through one of the many podcast services we are available on, where you should also leave a review, by the way. Then I'll just tell you, like, she's exploring different levels, climbing through tunnels, looking at very pretty environments, maybe climbing and jumping across different platforms occasionally, things like that. Again, akin to what you might expect to see in one of those old school Uncharted games. And I'm totally fine with that. I think it can work really, really well. And it can be fun. But is it fun for 30 hours or 40 hours? That's where I think there's a fair question to be asked. And that's one where I really don't know the answer, frankly. Because we've tried little slivers here and there, but we have not tried the finished product or the whole package. And even now, you know, they talk all the time about how this is the first open world Star Wars game. And we still haven't seen a whole lot of that. We've seen big open levels, her riding her speeder and things like that. But what does it mean to be able to freely explore in a Star Wars universe? We don't really know yet. We don't know what the side content really looks like. We don't know much of that at all. So I still think there's questions to be asked and answered, but what they've shown is something that I think has gotten people interested more broadly. And
I do see one red flag from this footage though, and that is that they cut the footage when Kay is on her speeder in the open world, because it just takes too long and there's nothing happening. But yeah, when we play, we will of course still be doing that. We see like a marker with like 400 meters still, and then they cut. So it seems like they're kind of, I mean, it makes sense in a way that there's like not a lot happening on this particular planet, but you would hope that there are some, interesting things still in the sands or whatever in this that will make the journey interesting.
Yeah,
because, now they cut.
Yeah, that's one thing that's going to be interesting to see. You know, they allude in this footage a couple times where they're like, yeah, the Sarlacc tooth is hotly contested and desired, so be ready to get jumped by somebody if you find one. So I fully expect on that speeder bike ride back, you probably get jumped by some bandits that come up on the speeders and try to attack you, and you fight them off, and then you travel here. I fully expect that that's probably what happens. And it's just not that interesting for a 10-minute preview look, so it's whatever. Even this combat that is on screen now with Kay fighting, you know, in a standard sort of air hangar, or spaceship hangar in Tatooine, the frames also drop pretty aggressively in multiple spots. Again, I think that this is probably a console version. I think it's running on an Xbox, because when I've played the game and in the other footage we've seen, which seemed to be running on PC, the particle effects and explosions look way better, and it's not dropping frames like this during casual gameplay and combat. So
why would they show Xbox Series S footage?
Yeah, I'm hoping it's not Series S, or honestly, I'm hoping it is Series S footage, because if this is Series X footage, it gets me worried about a console version in general. Because there's parts where it really all of a sudden starts running not that great. So we'll see kind of how the cookie crumbles. But I mean, even this shot here, it's just a wide open expanse, lots of sand in front of you. I mean, it's Tatooine. It's generally very open and flat and bland and uninteresting. But even this shot, it just makes you wonder, okay, well, what is there to find in this world? Is there anything, or is it just, you know, you ride through your speeder bike and then you might find one person asking you to kill this alien monster for them, and then you kill it and get paid out, and then you move on to the next little mini side quests that they might have for you. I don't know. It's going to be something to keep an eye on, though, because again, it's the one piece of the puzzle that we haven't really seen, is that open world component. And it's probably the most important one, considering that they keep framing this as an open world Star Wars game.
I see the comments now as well, and I kind of do agree with them. So the first new gameplay you show in a month, is a fetch quest. It's like, why? Why not a cool mission or like open world activities? Or sometimes I don't really get these decisions. It's kind of wild. And again, like we've seen way better explosions. Like, did they really not have better footage, or is this really what it looks like? But that was not what we played. So I'm kind of baffled by this IGN video. And remember, it is not the first time that IGN posts gameplay where everyone's like scratching their heads. Was it Suicide Squad as well, or was it like another game where they posted like the first gameplay and everyone was like, "Is this really the best you got?" Like, why show this?
Yeah, they've done it a few times, and like I've been frustrated with some of these where there will be like the captures where it's for an up and coming game like that people are really excited for, and the capture that they provide and post publicly, presumably as part of like a sponsored thing where it's like, hey, we're doing coverage, you're IGN first, so we made a contract deal where we're going to promote the game for you. And the footage is just really low bit rate. It's really blurry. It's poorly captured. It just doesn't look very good at all. And it makes the game look worse than it actually is.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is something where like Ubisoft sent them this footage and this is the best that they have, or if they sent them like a bunch of review codes or preview codes or something for a demo. And they're like, yeah, capture the demo yourself and then you can upload it. In which case, I'm
this
like,
totally feels more like because the player that is playing here knows what they're doing. I think IGN, no disrespect, like, but any type of player that got their hands on this game for a few hours would not be playing kind of like this. It really feels like they were thinking about this. They're using the environment. They're to create explosives. They know exactly the amount of like blaster things they're like. They have way too much knowledge, I feel. And to also edit it like this, I don't know. It feels very Ubisoft sent us this. We have this contract. Let's push it. And I'm always kind of like question marky with the IGN first. This is sponsored, right? Why does it never say that it's sponsored? I'm kind of baffled by that.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if they get around that by just being like, yeah, it's part of an IGN first cover story. So it's implied, but you'd still think that they would have to disclose that, like,
yeah,
this coverage has
they
been
probably
sponsored.
got a lot of money from you, because it is like or do you really think that IGN would be like, oh sure, we would agree to 10 videos about your game, and they're really doing interviews, and there's not really a lot happening. I mean, you did the breakdown, right, for one of their videos where they showed old gameplay and they just let the developers talk about their talking points. There was no new info in that video whatsoever. Like, if IGN, I hope, really went to that studio and got like carte blanche, like, ask us anything, we're open book. I think they would have made a way more interesting video than, yeah, we thought it was a dream come true to make a Star Wars game. It's like, sure, man, but what is that type of information?
Yeah,
so I'm kind of like,
I think a lot of it is, I mean, there's been, questions about how these things work, but I cannot imagine that they do this for free. Like, I don't think you get to be the cover story for free. I think that comes with a certain amount of promotion. And maybe how that works is it's like, hey, we're not going to cut you a check, but you get the exclusive footage, you get the exclusive access, you get this and this that nobody else gets. And because you'll be the only one with that, your videos will perform well. And so you'll get paid out that way. So it's kind of like indirect, sponsored by access, basically. So maybe that's how it works. But it is weird that they don't just say how it works. You'd think that they have to disclose it, because at least all the sponsored stuff I've ever done, they are aggressive with how clear you have to be with your disclosures. Like, exactly. Every tweet, every post, every YouTube video, everything has to be filled with all the disclosures. So I don't know. Yeah. But
and by the way, I want to say for Don, Bobble is saying that I hate on everything but trash Sony games, and that I'm the biggest pony of all time. Well, Welcome to my type of content. You've clearly never watched it.
Yeah. I was like, I think it was last podcast you were getting called an X-bot because you didn't like whatever that from the Team Ninja guys, I think it was. Rise of the Ronin.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can't win, but it's only one person, and I thought it was fun to call it that, but
Yeah.
I know everyone else.
He got
knows
you. Got you.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Anyway, with this though, I mean, what's your gut feeling on Star Wars at this point? What are you feeling? Because my personal feeling is that I'm more intrigued by Star Wars Outlaws than I am for like AC Shadows. Granted, we're like 6 months out or 5 months out for AC Shadows. But I haven't seen anything about AC Shadows that's like particularly novel or exciting. It just looks kind of like Odyssey mixed with Valhalla, and then like a weather system that sounds cool, but that we haven't really seen. Like, I just haven't really seen anything that's truly unique to me that gets me really excited. But with Star Wars Outlaws,
the seasons, and I think is pretty unique, and like the two very separate playable characters.
but even that, it's like, so you took the stealth and the melee, and now it's just two characters like in Syndicate. Okay. And then the seasons, I agree, sound really cool, but they sound really cool. We still haven't seen it. So
yeah, but that's what I feel Star Wars Outlaws is kind of missing. It's like the biggest thing they got going for it is that they made a Star Wars game that we did not really have before. Right? Like what is new in the gameplay that we have not seen before? I don't know.
well, and I do think that the combat can be stiff and lacking in dynamics. So I totally agree that that's a concern I have for Star Wars Outlaws. But I think a lot of this will just come down to what your little like what those starting biases are. Because for me, the Japanese setting just doesn't do anything. Like for me, it's a +1 if it's ancient Egypt, but for Japan, it just doesn't do anything for me. I'm like, okay, whatever. Like okay. Star Wars is one that I'm not like obsessed with or anything, but I like Star Wars. I'm fine with Star Wars. Maybe it's not a +1, but it's like a +0.5 because I like the universe and what they've done there. And the fact that they're leaning so heavily into like the old trilogy as opposed to trying to set this between like the newer movies, that gets me more interested. So I think that there's starter biases like that come into play, but other things that they're doing, like the factions system within Star Wars Outlaws, seem really interesting. It seems like they're trying to do something.
We just haven't really seen it, but I'm just afraid that it's like that it sounds really cool, but that they're not utilizing it as much. That it's like a sort of bar in that place in the background, and your choices impact that bar. And when you're in a certain section of that bar, a certain level, so you have like neutral, you have that they hate you, and you have that you're like very respected with them, and they're probably like in between some levels. And I'm really afraid that whatever level you're in, that is how these characters will behave. But it won't be like, they won't be, I think, and I hope I'm wrong, be really calling out specific moments where you screwed them over, because you're making a choice, bam, your reputation now goes lower. So that is how they will behave around you. That means that you lose some privileges. Kind of like going to the airport and you're flying and you have like silver, gold, platinum, right? Okay, I'm silver. I can go to the fast lane and carry some extra luggage. I'm gold. Okay, I can actually get some extra benefits. I think that that's kind of where this system is going to land. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they're really going to be, hey, you screwed us over that time on that planet, and now we're going to get you. But I'm afraid that it's, oh, you're neutral. Not a lot is happening. Oh, you're friendly. Oh, now you can access these areas, and now you can buy some cool equipment from this faction. Oh, you're doing more for this faction. Now you're like like very friendly, or whatever they're going to call it. And then you get all the cool benefits. Make a wrong choice. Oh, you're friendly again. So you lose those benefits. Kind of afraid that it's going to be like that, but I hope I'm wrong. We just haven't seen that in action.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like if that is like their huge, big thing, why have we not seen that? Like, why are they showing different things? I don't know.
Yeah. we'll keep an eye on it. I fully expect we're going to start to see a lot more about it. Because, I mean, it's anything Disney adjacent, they come out swinging with advertising pretty heavily in the month leading up to it. So,
unless it's Avatar, and that was like kind of quiet. That was weird.
Like, oh, right.
I played that DLC. Did you know that the DLC was out?
I saw you streaming it. Yeah. How is it?
I finished it in 4.5 hours. That's all you need to know.
Yeah. I mean, they probably have like 5 people working on it. I mean,
yeah, it was like more Avatar. It was like the base game extended, and I was like all these characters. I was like, I don't know you anymore. I don't care anymore. And there's another, like, it's really the what all these like shooters struggle with boss fights as well. It's like the helicopter boss fight is like very common. And here it is, like the final boss is like an RDA suit again. Like it's, I don't know. It's like, it was,
but now he can take even more bullets.
Yeah,
and
and now they got like flame bombs or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
I had a fun time. I think the game totally like it's still cool to be in that world, and it plays fine. I was always hoping more for Star Wars Outlaws. So, I mean, it looks again like the world is gonna be very cool to explore, especially these urban environments. So I really hope that, and that's always with the Ubisoft games, previewing them is kind of weird. Like you really need to sit down and have that. I'm gonna get lost in this world for tens of hours, going from planet to planet, and really get immersed, hopefully, and see what there really is to offer. And we just haven't had those play sessions or whatever yet to really get a good grip on what it is. Looking at this footage though, it's like, this is what I expected, but I want to be surprised, and I'm still not really surprised.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll see. The game's coming. It's what, August? I'm looking for it. August 30th is when it's coming. So we are
early access.
3
days early.
Oh baby. Yeah, so 5-6 weeks out. We'll see. I think they're gonna start going into overdrive. But you know what we'll have to play in between that? We have to wrap up on this. The very last thing that we'll have to play with and fill our time with hundreds of hours of engagement is going to be season 2 of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Also, shout out to Sean. Thank you for the very generous super chat. Love the podcast, lads. Been flat out at work. Great to catch a live stream in a while. Hey, Luke, how's the tea? The tea is very good. Sean is a madman who was able to send me, there's a long story with it, but basically it's a tea that's from like a tea house that's right next to the actual docks and building site of where they built the Titanic, which of course I'm a wee bit of a fan of. And so it's an actual like Titanic tea, and it's a delicious blend. It's very, very good. So it's wonderful. It's wonderful, Sean. I'll have to do like, I'll pull that out maybe next stream and I'll show everybody it because it's pretty cool. But having said that, here we are.
Yeah, one more thing.
But there's one more thing.
You already said it, but go to Spotify and leave them reviews. Every time I say it, I'm always surprised. Like when I open it the next week for the next show, that we're like we got it all of new reviews. We're now at 136, 4.9. Will we ever get the 5-star back? You will have to help us figure that out.
If I ever find the person who left that 4 stars, I mean,
I'm still like my team is still working on that, and we got some potential targets in sight. So
I also spent $50,000 hiring Dog the Bounty Hunter, so he will be knocking at your door soon. You know who you are. Yep. But yes, thank you everybody for the wonderful reviews. We appreciate the gosh darn heck out of you. Sure do. You know what we don't appreciate though? Lackluster, lame seasonal updates. I mean, with Suicide Squad, it's just I'm putting it on screen now. They just did a little post to their blog. We're not even getting like a full video breakdown of it. Again, apparently most of Rocksteady has been moved, and they're working on the director's cut for Hogwarts Legacy, which is going to be coming at some point in the future. So the team working still on Suicide Squad is a bit of a skeleton crew, and I think they've just accepted that this is going to be, after they finish the seasonal updates, they're just going to move on. So they're not putting their best foot forward. They're just kind of putting stuff out that they already had designed. I will say Mrs. Freeze's movement looks really good, very Frozone-esque. And this is something that Suicide Squad's always been really, really good at. They've been really good at the movement and animation quality. Nobody has ever doubted that. The team over at Rocksteady's done a phenomenal job historically with it, and they continue to here. But it's just another reminder that, cinematic quality, animation quality does not a great game make. You usually need some other stuff on top of it too. I'll be playing this on stream when it launches next week. They delayed it by a couple of weeks from when it was originally scheduled to drop. Hype. And we'll see if we can knock this out.
Are you gonna pay $10 to get the character early?
Depends if it's still another grind. Like
probably.
Probably.
We gotta squeeze those lost people dry, don't you think?
Yeah, it's the problem basically with what they did with Joker was that you had to grind these missions, and I did for a while. But those missions were just kind of broken and bugged, and they wouldn't pay out consistently, and it was just, quite frustrating. Then people after the fact were like, well, if you do just this one mission and then you go to this point and there's a tank that spawns, and if you break the tank down repeatedly for 3 hours, you can get it done faster. And it's like, I don't care that much to do that. Like, I value my time more than that. So I will spend $10 to make a video if there's more grind, and I will encourage people to do as I say, not as I do. But what's really funny is that with those videos, I have made certainly more of a profit than Suicide Squad has, even despite spending $10 on the Joker, so I don't have to subject myself to more brain rot. So that's my policy is brain rot. I'm not willing to endure. I'd rather give up $10 and then make a funny video making fun of something for being brain rot. Are you going to play it?
Something we can look at. No, no. I'm
just no.
I'm still looking at the Reddit though, and then I already see they upload the cutscene, which like 1 minute, and it's like an artsy cutscene or whatever. And no, I want to go back to Rebirth and actually finish that, because I was like at the final chapter or like the second to last, and that's when Rise of the Ronin and all the other stuff came out. So that's kind of on my list, I think, before Black Myth Wukong, Outlaws, and all the crazy stuff happens. So still want to finish that.
Yeah,
that seems like a better use of my time than Suicide Squad. And I got like a flintlock key, but the reviews are not that good, which is kind of sad. It always looks.
It also was like nowhere to be found. It was kind of surprising that it didn't get more like marketing push before it, but it's given me strong Banishers, Ghost of New Eden vibes, and I thought that game was pretty good. So,
but then without the cool story, that's at least what people are saying. So it's like, but the combat did not carry that game. It was really the writing and cool thing they got going with you being able to choose the fate of the characters you meet.
So anyway, but with all that said, guys.
Thanks everyone for watching. So Maya also did another super chat. Missed you boys, much love. Well, we missed every single one of you, and we'll be back.
Yeah, the boys are back. Don't you know? The boys are back.
And tomorrow, the final of The Boys. Speaking of The Boys.
Oh yeah. My wife's been watching that. I will. Yeah, I won't spoil anything, but every time I come upstairs, I see her watching it, and there's just so many bizarre moments that you can walk in on somebody watching that show where it's just like, what did I just walk in? Was that guy being strangled by someone else's trouser snake? What? And you're just like, total shell shock. And there's a lot of moments like that in the show that are distressing.
I watched it on an airplane. I don't recommend that. I don't recommend that
Dude.
at all. With someone next to you who's like, "What the heck is this weirdo watching?"
Dude, that would actually be really funny. If somebody had no idea what The Boys was and then seeing some of those clips, that would be pretty funny. Yeah, anyway, I love you all desperately. You all are wonderful. We'll be back next week for another show. Thank you everybody who gave us
with
ratings.
Hopefully with the Concord delay.
Hopefully. or me needing like
should know
therapy
by
because
then.
I've played
Should
too
know
much
by
of it. Yeah.
You're
okay.
really gonna go back.
I
go
might see how they handle more players this weekend. I don't know. I mean, it's just a.
And they're adding a new
so.
map. They're adding a new map and mode. So enough reasons to go back. I want to like try it as well to just know what I'm talking about.
It's like the ultimate like okay, anyway kind of game. You know, like you'll play it, you'll be like okay, that wasn't bad, and then you'll
But
forget
I've actually
about
played a lot of Paladins, so I'm like a weirdo like that. So I might
Mm.
have like an interesting because a lot of people are like, oh, they have unique kits, and I was like, I know this from Paladins. So I think a lot of people have not played that game.
So maybe next week we come back and you're wearing like a hat, a Concord hat. You've dressed up like one of the characters.
I got the full swag.
Yeah.
yeah. I'm gonna be Star Child or whatever he's called.
Yeah. Okay, now somebody needs to do fan art of that. I need to see that. Okay.